Your past is a teacher, not a prison. Life often places us in situations that test our limits, shake our faith, and sometimes even break our hearts. But those moments are never meant to imprison us. They are meant to shape us. The past is like a mirror that reflects not who you are forever, but who you were in a particular moment. It's a classroom, not a courtroom. Yet so many of us spend our lives reliving what went wrong instead of learning from it. We lock ourselves behind invisible bars built from regret, guilt, and shame, forgetting that we hold the key to our own freedom. The key is understanding that your past isn't here to define you. It's here to teach you. Every mistake you've ever made carried a message. Every heartbreak came with a lesson hidden inside the pain. Every disappointment was a silent teacher showing you something about yourself, about others, about life. The problem is that most people refuse to look for the lesson because they're too focused on the loss. They replay what went wrong so many times that they end up living in it. But wisdom is born only when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple shift transforms your pain into power, because once you learn from your past, it can no longer control you, it can only guide you. When you think about the past, it's easy to feel regret for the things you could have done differently. Maybe you trusted someone who betrayed you. Maybe you gave up on a dream too early. Maybe you hurt someone you loved or failed to stand up for yourself when you should have. But every one of those moments has value. Regret can only destroy you if you let it linger without reflection. When you use it as fuel for awareness, it becomes wisdom. Your past self was doing the best they could with the knowledge they had at the time. If you knew better, you would have done better. That's not weakness, that's growth. The lesson of your past is to help you become more conscious, more compassionate, more courageous. The truth is, nobody escapes life without scars. Everyone carries something, a loss, a failure, a secret pain. But scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you healed. They are the evidence that you survived something that once tried to destroy you. Your past doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. The pain you felt was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a catalyst. Every wound you've endured has given you empathy. Every mistake has made you wiser. Every disappointment has prepared you for something greater. The people who understand life deeply are not the ones who avoided pain, but the ones who faced it and grew from it. You must remember that your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. You can visit it to learn, but you cannot live there. Living in your past is like trying to drive forward while staring only at the rearview mirror. You're bound to crash. You have to take the lessons, not the pain, into your future. You are evolving every single day. Who you were yesterday is not who you are today, and who you are today doesn't have to be who you become tomorrow. Growth is a lifelong journey, and every chapter, even the dark ones, adds depth to your story. Think about it. Every great person in history, every individual who ever inspired the world had a past. They made mistakes, faced failures, and went through heartbreaks that could have defined them. But they chose differently. They used their experiences as education. They learned how to turn wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't luck, it's perspective. One sees the past as a prison, the other sees it as preparation. Which one will you choose? When you start treating your past as a teacher, life begins to make sense in ways it never did before. You start to see that nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the silence, not the struggle. Everything was building you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You begin to understand that even the people who hurt you played a part in shaping your strength. They taught you boundaries, they taught you value, they taught you what kind of love you deserve. The moments that once made you question your worth now remind you of your power. You no longer curse your past. You thank it, because without it, you wouldn't be who you are now. Freedom begins when you stop running from your past and start learning from it. It's not about erasing your history. It's about embracing it without letting it control your destiny. You can acknowledge what happened, accept it, and then choose differently. The lesson isn't in the pain itself, it's in your response to it. Growth happens when you take responsibility for your healing instead of blaming your history. The past doesn't hold you captive. Your attachment to it does. The moment you decide to see it differently, the chains begin to fall away. So remind yourself daily, your past is not your prison. You do not have to keep punishing yourself for who you used to be. You have the right to evolve, to outgrow, to start again. You are not the same person you were when those mistakes happened, and that's something to celebrate. You are wiser now, braver now, more aware now. Every lesson has brought you closer to your truth. The world doesn't need the version of you that's stuck in regret. It needs the version of you that has learned, risen, and moved forward with purpose. Your past will always be part of your story, but it doesn't have to be the whole story. Let it remind you of how far you've come, not how far you have to go. Stand tall, look ahead, and walk boldly into your future with the wisdom your past has given you, because in the end, it was never meant to punish you. It was meant to prepare you. Your past is not a prison. It is the foundation upon which your greatest self will rise. You are not defined by what you did, but by what you learned. The human journey is not about perfection. It's about evolution. Every single one of us has a past filled with decisions we wish we could change, words we wish we hadn't said, and moments we wish we could erase. But the beauty of life is that it doesn't demand perfection. It invites growth. What truly defines you is not the mistakes you've made, but the wisdom you've gained from them. The person you are today has been built from every wrong turn, every heartbreak, every failure, and every moment of courage it took to keep going despite it all. When we make mistakes, we often believe they label us forever. We think that one bad choice, one failure, or one chapter of darkness becomes our identity. But identity is not static. It's fluid, ever-changing, molded by what we learn along the way. What matters most is how you rise after you fall. Every stumble holds a lesson, and those lessons have the power to redefine your destiny if you allow them to. The past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have the authority to define you unless you hand it that power. You are always greater than your worst moments, stronger than your deepest regrets, and wiser than your old mistakes. The truth is, growth cannot happen without error. The child who learns to walk must first fall. The artist who paints a masterpiece has first faced blank canvases covered in failed attempts. The successful person you admire today once stood in the same place you are, uncertain, flawed, imperfect, but willing to learn. Mistakes are not proof of weakness, they are evidence of effort. They show that you tried, that you took a risk, that you dared to live. The people who never make mistakes are usually the ones who never try anything new, so don't curse your failures, thank them. They were the stepping stones to your strength. The power of your past lies in what you do with it now. You can let it hold you back, or you can let it lift you higher. Every painful experience carries a seed of understanding. Maybe a broken relationship taught you self-respect. Maybe a bad decision showed you the importance of patience. Maybe failure taught you resilience. These lessons become the silent architects of your character. And that character, the courage to grow, the strength to change, the humility to admit you were wrong, is what truly defines you. Not the act, but the awakening that followed. Forgive yourself for the moments you weren't your best. Forgive yourself for acting out of fear, ignorance, or pain. The person you were then did what they could with what they knew. The person you are now knows better, and that's what matters. You don't need to live in shame for your past when your heart is committed to growth. Self-forgiveness is not about excusing your mistakes. It's about acknowledging your humanity. You cannot evolve if you're constantly dragging the weight of guilt behind you. Let go. You're allowed to outgrow the person you once were. The most powerful people you will ever meet are not the ones who never failed. They are the ones who used failure as fuel. They took their pain and turned it into purpose. They transformed their regrets into wisdom, and that's what you must do. Take everything you've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, and let it shape your strength. You can't change the past, but you can use it as a foundation to build something better. You can transform your story by changing how you interpret it. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Instead of saying, I lost, say, I grew. Every word you use to describe your past determines how you carry it. Remember, you are not your actions. You are the awareness behind them. You are the soul that observed, learned, and evolved. What you did yesterday doesn't have to dictate who you become tomorrow. You can wake up today and choose differently. You can decide that the mistakes of your past will serve as reminders of your strength, not evidence of your weakness. You can look in the mirror and see not the person who fell, but the person who rose. Growth is not about erasing the past. It's about transforming the meaning you give it. It's easy to let the world define you by your past, by what you did, by where you failed, by who you once were. But remember, people only see the chapter they walked in on. They don't know the whole story. They don't know how far you've come, how much you've healed, how many battles you've fought silently to become who you are now. You owe it to yourself to stop living as a prisoner of other people's perceptions. The only thing that matters is the person you are becoming. Let your growth speak louder than your guilt. Every day you are given the chance to begin again. You can't rewrite the beginning of your story, but you can change the ending. The power lies in your response, in your choice to rise, to evolve, to let the lessons of your past become the light that guides your future. Your worth was never destroyed by your mistakes. It was refined by them. You are the product of resilience, not regret. So walk forward with confidence. Stand tall, knowing that everything you've been through has shaped you into someone wiser, deeper, and stronger. You are not your past. You are your potential. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs a growing one. You are defined not by what you did, but by what you've learned, how you've healed, and how you've chosen to rise. Let your lessons be your legacy. Forgive yourself and others to set your spirit free. There is a kind of freedom that doesn't come from wealth, success, or recognition. It comes from letting go of the weight that keeps your heart heavy. The weight of guilt, regret, resentment, and anger can become invisible chains that hold you back from living fully. Forgiveness is not about pretending the pain never happened. It's about choosing to no longer let that pain control your life. The truth is, everyone carries scars, but those scars don't have to become lifelong burdens. Forgiveness is the act of setting yourself free from the emotional prison that your past built around you. Forgiving yourself is one of the hardest things you'll ever do because it means facing the parts of you that made mistakes. It means acknowledging that you weren't perfect, that you acted from fear, confusion, or pain. But self-forgiveness is not weakness, it's strength. It's the ability to look at your own reflection and say, yes, I was flawed, but I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of peace. Many people believe that punishing themselves with guilt will somehow make things right. But guilt does not heal. It only repeats the wound. Healing begins the moment you stop reliving your mistakes and start learning from them. You cannot change the past, but you can change your relationship with it. Every mistake you made has already served its purpose. It taught you something. Maybe it taught you compassion, maybe humility, maybe the value of patience or honesty. When you understand the lesson, you no longer need the guilt. You realize that every moment of regret was a step toward wisdom. Self-forgiveness is the acknowledgement that you are human, that growth comes through imperfection. You are not meant to be flawless. You are meant to be real, to stumble, to learn, and to rise. Forgiving others, on the other hand, is not about erasing what they did. It's not about letting people off the hook or pretending their actions were okay. It's about refusing to carry their actions inside your heart any longer. Holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The truth is, resentment doesn't harm them. It harms you. It keeps you stuck in a story that no longer serves your growth. Forgiveness is not a favor you do for others. It's a gift you give to yourself. It's the moment you reclaim your peace. Think about it. How much energy do you lose every day thinking about what someone did to you? How much of your joy gets consumed by replaying old pain? The moment you forgive, you stop allowing the past to steal your present. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without the pain. It means understanding that you cannot control what others do, but you can control how long you let it live within you. You forgive not because they deserve peace, but because you do. There will always be people who never apologize, who never take responsibility, who may even deny the hurt they caused, but your healing cannot depend on their apology. You cannot wait for someone else to set you free. Sometimes you have to give yourself closure. Sometimes you have to look at the wound and say, this ends with me. Because when you refuse to forgive, you keep reliving the same story, the same emotion, the same pain. But when you forgive, you write a new story, one that begins with peace, not bitterness. Forgiveness is an act of courage. It takes strength to let go of the anger you've carried for years. It takes maturity to understand that people hurt others out of their own pain, fear, or ignorance. That doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you see that their actions were reflections of their own wounds, not your worth. The more you understand this, the easier it becomes to release the grip of resentment. Because forgiveness doesn't mean you accept what happened, it means you accept that it happened and you're choosing to move on. When you forgive, you take your power back. You stop allowing the past to dictate your emotions. You stop being defined by what hurt you. Forgiveness turns pain into wisdom, heartbreak into compassion, and anger into clarity. It transforms you from a victim of your story into the author of your future. The moment you forgive, you begin to breathe differently, lighter, freer, stronger. Self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others are deeply connected. Often, we cannot truly forgive others until we've learned to forgive ourselves. When you hold on to self-judgment, you naturally judge others. When you let go of your own guilt, you begin to understand that everyone is fighting their own internal battles. Compassion grows where judgment once lived, and when you live from compassion, you no longer carry the urge to hold grudges, because you realize that everyone, including you, is still learning how to be human. The act of forgiveness is an act of faith. Faith that your future can be brighter than your past. Faith that love can heal what pain once damaged. Faith that letting go doesn't mean losing. It means gaining peace. Every time you forgive, you reclaim a piece of your spirit that pain once took away. Every time you release anger, you open space for something new. Joy, love, serenity, and freedom. So forgive yourself for the things you didn't know before you learned. Forgive the people who couldn't love you the way you needed. Forgive the moments when you let fear silence your truth. Forgive because you deserve to live unchained. The past will always whisper, but it no longer has to weigh you down. You are not what was done to you, and you are not what you did. You are the person who chose to heal. Let forgiveness be your revolution. Let it be the moment you decide that your peace matters more than your pride, that your freedom matters more than your pain. You don't forgive to change the past. You forgive to change your future. The world needs more people who are brave enough to let go, to release, and to love again. And that begins with you. When you finally forgive yourself and others, something beautiful happens inside you. The weight lifts, your heart opens, and your soul breathes again. You begin to live not as a prisoner of your past, but as the creator of your future. And in that freedom, you'll find the truest form of power, peace. Every challenge you have faced, every heartbreak you have endured, and every storm you have survived was not a punishment, it was preparation. The past is not just a collection of random events, it is a carefully woven tapestry of experiences meant to prepare you for something greater. Life has a mysterious way of teaching us through struggle. The moments that once made you question your strength are the very moments that built it. The pain that once made you cry was also shaping your resilience. The obstacles that once made you doubt your path were, in truth, guiding you toward it. Nothing you've gone through was wasted. Every season of your life, even the hardest ones, had a purpose to prepare you for the person you were destined to become. When you're in the middle of difficulty, it's easy to believe that the world is against you. It's easy to see pain as meaningless, loss as unfair, and struggle as unnecessary. But with time and reflection, you begin to see the pattern, the wisdom hidden inside the chaos. You begin to realize that every challenge you faced trained you for the life ahead. You learn patience when things don't happen on your timeline. You learn courage when fear tries to control you. You learn faith when you have nothing else to hold on to. What you once saw as obstacles were actually lessons in disguise, strengthening you for the future you couldn't yet see. Think of the hardest times in your life, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the failures, the disappointments. In the moment, you may have felt lost, broken, or forgotten. But now, looking back, can you see how each one changed you? That heartbreak taught you self-worth. That failure taught you humility. That disappointment redirected you toward something better. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in challenge. The soil of pain produces the roots of wisdom. You were not being destroyed, you were being built. You were being prepared for the next chapter, the next level, the next version of yourself. Sometimes the universe removes things not to punish you, but to make space for what's truly meant for you. You may have lost a relationship, a dream, or an opportunity that you thought you couldn't live without, but later you find that what replaced it was far more aligned with your purpose. Preparation often looks like loss. It looks like chaos. It looks like everything falling apart. But underneath the surface, life is rearranging itself in your favor. You are being trained to handle greater blessings. You are being shaped to hold more light, more strength, more wisdom. The storm was never meant to drown you. It was meant to teach you how to swim. When you begin to understand this, you stop resisting your challenges. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That's when your perspective shifts. That's when you realize that life is not against you. It's working for you. Every struggle has purpose. Every delay has meaning. Every closed door is redirecting you towards something better. When you face hardship with that mindset, pain loses its power to break you. It becomes your ally instead of your enemy. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't those who had it easy. They are the ones who went through fire and came out stronger. They learned how to turn their pain into purpose. They used their wounds as wisdom. And that's exactly what you are capable of. The struggles you've survived have given you emotional armor, compassion, and depth. You can understand others' pain because you've walked through your own. You can inspire others because you've been through darkness and found your way back to the light. Your story carries power, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Preparation doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like confusion, heartbreak, or delay. But remember this, diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is refined in fire. The strongest trees are those that have faced the harshest winds. You too are being shaped by the conditions of your life. The pressure you're under is molding you into someone unstoppable. The fire you're walking through is burning away everything that no longer serves you. The winds of change are forcing you to grow roots deeper than fear. One day you'll look back and realize that what you thought was breaking you was actually building you. You may not understand now why certain things had to happen. You may not see the purpose behind your pain yet, but trust that nothing is wasted. Every chapter of your life is part of a greater plan. The lessons you are learning today will serve you tomorrow in ways you can't imagine. You're being equipped with strength, empathy, and understanding that will guide you toward your destiny. Sometimes the hardest lessons bring the most beautiful transformations. So when life tests you, don't shrink. When things fall apart, don't lose faith. You are being prepared for something beyond what you can see right now. Every time you fall, you're learning how to rise higher. Every time you face rejection, you're being redirected to something greater. Every time you feel lost, you're being called to rediscover yourself. The universe doesn't waste pain. It uses it to polish you, to awaken you, to make you ready for the blessings ahead. There will come a time when everything makes sense. You'll see how every hardship built your strength, how every delay protected your timing, and how every ending led to a new beginning. The things that once made you cry will make you grateful because they prepared you for a life far more beautiful than you imagined. The past was not there to punish you. It was preparing you. So hold your head high, trust the process, and keep moving forward. The challenges you faced have not been in vain. They were your training, your preparation, your foundation. The past prepared you for the greatness that's coming next. You can't step into your future if you keep reliving yesterday. The truth is, growth only happens when you stop replaying the same story in your mind. You cannot move forward while holding on to the pain, guilt, or nostalgia of what once was. Life keeps offering you new beginnings, but you have to be willing to stop rewriting old chapters. Too many people spend their lives trapped in cycles, stuck between who they were and who they could become. They wake up each day physically in the present, but mentally living in the past. But until you release the story that keeps you small, you will never experience the life waiting for you beyond it. The past is familiar, it feels safe even when it's painful. That's why we cling to it. We replay what we could have done differently, what we should have said, how things might have been. But dwelling on the past doesn't change it. It only drains the energy you need to build your future. Every time you revisit an old wound, you reopen it. Every time you relive an old mistake, you stop yourself from creating something new. You have to decide when enough is enough. You have to tell yourself, I've learned what I needed to learn. Now it's time to move forward. The door to the future won't open until you close the one behind you. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It means understanding that what's behind you no longer has power over you. It means choosing to remember without reliving. to appreciate the lesson without carrying the pain. Life is a series of chapters, and each one has its own story to tell. But if you keep reading the same page over and over, you'll never know how the story ends. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is simply turning the page. We often underestimate the power of our thoughts. The stories we tell ourselves shape the life we live. If you keep telling yourself that you're broken, you'll keep finding proof that you are. If you keep telling yourself that you can't change, you'll keep living in that limitation. The moment you rewrite the story in your mind, your entire world begins to shift. You are not the same person you were when your past was written. You have learned, grown, and evolved since then. The only reason the past still holds you back is because you keep identifying with an outdated version of yourself. Sometimes people hold on to the past because it gives them identity. The pain becomes familiar, and the story becomes comfortable. But there's a danger in comfort. It convinces you that staying stuck is safer than evolving. It whispers that change is risky and healing is hard. Yet the truth is, remaining where you are costs far more than growing. When you keep replaying the same story, you keep reliving the same emotions: anger, sadness, guilt, resentment. The past can't hurt you anymore, but your attachment to it can. It's not easy to let go of what once defined you. It takes courage to say, that part of my life is over. You might lose people, places, or versions of yourself that once meant everything. But endings are not failures. They are foundations. When you let go of the past, you make space for something new to enter. The universe can't fill your hands with blessings if they're still clenched around old pain. Sometimes life delays your progress, not because you're unworthy, but because you refuse to release what's no longer aligned with your growth. You must give yourself permission to outgrow your past. You are not required to carry every memory, every mistake, or every heartbreak into your future. Growth means shedding old skins, letting go of outdated stories, and forgiving the parts of yourself that didn't know better. It means accepting that you can't change what happened, but you can change what happens next. You owe it to yourself to stop revisiting pain that no longer serves you. The lesson has been learned. It's time to apply it and move forward. When you stop replaying the same story, you open yourself to new possibilities. Suddenly, you begin to see opportunities that you were blind to before. You start attracting peace instead of pain, growth instead of guilt. The world responds to the energy you carry, and when your energy shifts from regret to hope, your reality begins to transform. You start realizing that the past was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. Every closed chapter was making room for something greater. Letting go is not forgetting where you came from, it's honoring how far you've come. It's recognizing that the pain you once felt doesn't control you anymore. It's saying, yes, that happened, but I am no longer that person. The most beautiful thing about healing is that it gives you your power back. You stop being a victim of your story and become the author of it. You take the pen out of the hands of your past and start writing your own future. You can still acknowledge the pain, but you no longer live in it. There will be days when your mind drifts back to old memories, when nostalgia or regret tries to pull you backward. In those moments, remind yourself, I've already lived this chapter. I don't need to live it again. Choose peace over punishment. Choose growth over guilt. The past has taught you everything it could. Now it's time to graduate from it. Your future is waiting: new experiences, new love, new opportunities, new strength. But you can only step into it with open hands and an open heart. So stop replaying the same story that keeps you small. The past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to confine you. You've earned the right to move on, to rise, to begin again. Life is too short to stay trapped in what's already gone. The next chapter of your story is unwritten, and it holds more light than the darkness you've left behind. All you have to do is stop looking backward long enough to see it. Close the old book, thank it for the lessons, and then walk boldly toward the life that's waiting to be written. The life that begins the moment you stop reliving yesterday and start living today. Forgiveness is the bridge between your past and your future, and until you walk across it, you'll always remain stuck on the side of yesterday. Forgiveness isn't about pretending that what happened didn't hurt. It's not about excusing the people who broke you or forgetting the experiences that scarred you. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the weight that's been holding you down. It's about looking at your pain and saying, you no longer control me. The past cannot change no matter how long you stare at it, but your future can, and it begins the moment you decide to let go. Holding on to anger, regret, or resentment is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. You think you're protecting yourself by holding on, but in reality, you're only prolonging your own suffering. The past has already taken enough from you, your peace, your sleep, your joy. Don't let it take your future too. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's one of the greatest acts of strength a human being can show, because it takes courage to release what hurt you. It takes maturity to say, I'm done carrying this pain. You can't rewrite the past, but you can refuse to let it define the rest of your life. When you forgive, you aren't saying that what happened was okay. You're simply saying, I deserve peace more than I deserve revenge. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's the key that unlocks the chains around your heart. Think about how much mental space the past occupies. The overthinking, the anger, the endless what-ifs. Every thought tied to the past is energy stolen from your future. When you forgive, you reclaim that energy. You take your power back. You stop feeding the story that keeps you stuck and start writing a new one built on strength, not sorrow. There's a misconception that forgiving means reconciling, that you have to let people back into your life once you release the pain. But that's not true. You can forgive someone and still never speak to them again. You can let go without going back. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening doors that were meant to close. It means closing them fully so you can finally move forward. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away, not with bitterness, but with understanding. Because peace isn't found in returning to what broke you. It's found in releasing what no longer serves you. Forgiveness also applies to yourself. In fact, it often starts there. You can't truly move forward if you keep punishing yourself for what you didn't know, for the choices you made when you were still learning how to live. Everyone has moments they wish they could redo, words they shouldn't have said, chances they didn't take, people they let down. But the person you were back then didn't have the wisdom you have now. You grew because of those mistakes. They were part of your training, not your sentencing. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're proud of your past. It means you've learned from it, and that's enough. Every time you choose forgiveness, you break the cycle of pain. You stop passing the hurt forward, because hurt people often hurt people, not out of malice, but because pain unhealed becomes pain repeated. But when you choose forgiveness, you transform that pain into wisdom. You stop being a victim of your story and become the author of it. You start showing others what freedom looks like. You teach yourself that it's possible to feel the pain without becoming it. It's easy to hold on to resentment. It makes us feel justified. But resentment is like carrying a heavy stone everywhere you go. At first you think you can manage it, but over time it exhausts you. Forgiveness is putting the stone down and realizing you were never meant to carry it. It's choosing peace over pride. It's saying, I won't let the actions of others determine the quality of my life. You stop needing closure from others because you realize closure comes from within. You stop needing apologies because you learn that healing is your responsibility, not theirs. There's freedom waiting for you on the other side of forgiveness, a kind of lightness that only comes when you release what's been buried deep within your heart. Suddenly you can breathe again. You begin to see the world differently. The colors seem brighter. The future feels wider. That's what forgiveness does. It creates space for joy to return. It's not an instant process. It's a gradual unfolding. Some days the pain will whisper again. Some memories will resurface. But every time you choose peace instead of bitterness, you're healing. Every time you choose love over anger, you're winning. Remember, forgiveness doesn't erase the lesson, it honors it. It says, I've learned, I'm ready to move on. The past becomes your teacher instead of your tormentor. And with that wisdom, you start creating a life that feels lighter, freer, and more aligned with who you truly are. You realize that every heartbreak, every betrayal, every mistake was molding you into someone wiser and stronger. You are not the pain you endured. You are the strength that survived it. So forgive the people who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgive the circumstances that broke you, because they led you to your awakening. And most importantly, forgive yourself for staying too long, for not knowing better, for being human. The weight you're carrying isn't your punishment, it's your invitation to rise. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. You are not meant to spend the rest of your days chained to what's behind you. You've already paid the price. Now it's time to collect your freedom. Let go of the anger, release the regret, and step into the new story waiting to unfold. The peace you've been searching for isn't somewhere out there. It's within you, waiting for you to stop holding on and start letting go. Every storm eventually passes, no matter how endless it feels when you're standing in the middle of it. The same is true for the pain of your past. It might have shaken you, broken parts of you, and made you question everything you believed in, but it did not destroy you. You are still here, and that means there is still purpose in your existence, still strength in your spirit, and still light in your heart waiting to shine again. The truth is, your past was never meant to imprison you. It was meant to prepare you. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every setback was sculpting you into the person who could rise higher, love deeper, and live wiser. You are not here to carry your past like a burden. You are here to use it as a bridge toward your greatness. When you start to see your past as your teacher, everything changes. The things that once made you cry now make you stronger. The people who once hurt you become the reason you learn boundaries. The failures that once embarrassed you become the stepping stones that taught you how to stand tall. Nothing was wasted. Every chapter, even the darkest ones, served a purpose. But you'll never see that purpose if you keep wishing things had happened differently. Acceptance is the key that opens the door to peace. It's saying, I may not have chosen this, but I choose to grow from it. It's turning pain into power and wounds into wisdom. Too often, people try to erase their past, to bury it under smiles and distractions, to pretend it never happened. But healing doesn't come from pretending, it comes from understanding. You don't need to erase your past to move forward. You just need to change your relationship with it. Instead of seeing your past as a prison, start seeing it as a classroom. Instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Start saying, what did this teach me? That small shift in perspective turns suffering into strength and regret into rebirth. Growth never comes from comfort. The strongest souls are not the ones who had perfect lives. They are the ones who walked through darkness and still chose to seek the light. You've been tested, and you've been stretched, but you're still standing. That means you've already won. Life isn't about avoiding pain. It's about learning how to rise after it. You've faced things you thought would break you, yet here you are, still breathing, still trying, still believing. That's power. That's resilience. That's proof that your story isn't over. It's only beginning a new chapter. You have to give yourself permission to evolve beyond the person your past tried to shape. The world may try to define you by what you've been through, but you have the power to redefine yourself by what you're becoming. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are not the things you lost. You are the courage it took to face it all. You are the strength it took to keep moving when everything told you to stop. You are the lesson, the healing, the transformation that came after the storm. Your past might have built the foundation, but you are the one building the future. The beautiful thing about life is that every day offers a fresh start. The sun rises again, the air shifts again, and life quietly whispers, try again. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep moving, even if all you can do today is take one small step forward. The universe meets those who move with faith. It rewards those who trust that the pain of the past was not punishment but preparation. Every ending that broke your heart was clearing space for a new beginning that aligns with who you're becoming. Every loss was redirecting you towards something better. There's a version of you that exists beyond the pain, stronger, calmer, and more aligned with your purpose. That version is waiting for you to stop looking backward. The longer you keep staring at the door that closed, the longer you delay the one that's opening. Healing happens the moment you stop asking, why did this happen? And start asking, what can I create from this? You are the artist of your life, and your scars are the paint that adds depth to your masterpiece. Without them, your story would be flat. With them, it becomes powerful. Every time you forgive, every time you let go, every time you choose peace over bitterness, you're rewriting your story. You're teaching your heart how to love again, your soul how to trust again, and your spirit how to rise again. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you choose to rise above it. That's the ultimate freedom. To no longer be controlled by the things that tried to break you. To look back at your past and feel gratitude instead of grief. to say, yes, it hurt me, but it also healed me. It taught me what I needed to become who I am now. Your past may have been your greatest challenge, but your future can be your greatest triumph. You've learned what you needed to learn. You've endured what you needed to endure. Now it's time to step into the version of yourself that your pain prepared you for. The version that believes, creates, loves, and shines without fear of the shadows behind you. You have the power to rewrite the meaning of your story. You can decide that everything you went through was leading you somewhere, here, now, to this moment of awakening. So take a deep breath and let it go. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the resentment. Let go of the shame. It doesn't belong in the next chapter of your life. You've already served your sentence. Now it's time to collect your freedom. You deserve joy. You deserve peace. You deserve a life that reflects the strength it took to survive your past. Stand tall. Lift your head and step boldly into your future. Because your past is not a life sentence. It's a lesson that taught you how to rise, and now it's your time to live.